Am I the butthole if I divorce my husband for not wiping his butt? Yep, this is pretty much the title. My husband recently started saying that he is not going to wipe his butt anymore after using the restroom. He got into his head that alpha males do not wipe, therefore he no longer is doing it. He has been, for the past 2 days, been walking around everywhere we going telling guys alphas don't wipe. He is very serious about not wiping and he is not listening to reasoning. I don't know what to do and I fear that this might be the start of the end of our marriage. How do I convince him to wipe? Am I the butthole for not going home during our semester break and letting my family deal with the mess they made? So, for some context, I'm in my second year of college and transferred to a school 2 to 3 hours away from home, so I stay in a boarding house. After my mom passed away a year ago, I took over a lot of household responsibilities, cooking, cleaning, grocery shopping, because, well, someone had to. My older sister is a nursing student with a crazy schedule, my younger sister isn't very independent, and my cousin, who moved in at my dad's request, helps with cooking, but that's about it. At the start of the semester, before I left for school, I made sure the house was spotless. The laundry was done, the fridge was stocked with fruits, veggies, and meal prepped food, and everything was in order. I figured they'd at least try to maintain it. But, no. The first weekend I came back, the house was a disaster. Shoes scattered everywhere, dishes piling up, trash overflowing, unfinished takeout rotting in the fridge, and my meal prepped food, completely ignored. I was frustrated but cleaned it up anyway, thinking they were still adjusting. I reminded them, nicely, to at least clean up after themselves, not because I was a clean freak but because I want them to live in a clean and healthy environment, as it was one of my regrets when my mom died from health complications and I deeply blamed myself. The next weekend? Same mess. And the weekend after that. At that point, I was done. Home was supposed to be a place where I could rest, not somewhere I had to play housekeeper after a long week. So I just stopped going home. I made excuses, school projects, group hangouts, whatever it took. Then semester break came. It was also a big religious holiday where we honor the dead, and family would be coming over. Normally, I'd be the one running around, making sure everything was clean and prepared, but this time, I told them I had papers to finish and wouldn't be coming home on time. In reality, I knew that if I wasn't there, they would have to clean the house themselves. And sure enough, while I was away, I checked on our group chat and saw them absolutely panicking. They didn't know where things went, struggled to buy all the food they needed, complained about not having space to prepare food because the table was too cluttered, and even ran out of clean plates. Honestly, I felt satisfied knowing they were struggling. I came home the day after the holiday to spend time with them and visit my mom's grave. As expected, they hit me with, "Oh wow, how convenient that you couldn't come home earlier." But the house? It was cleaner than usual. Not perfect, but better. I know they'll probably slip back into old habits, but at least now they've felt what it's like to handle things without me. Maybe next time they'll think twice before taking it all for granted. So, am I the butthole for ditching them and making them clean up their own mess? Am I the butthole for taking my brother-in-law to small claims court for a prank? I recently took my brother-in-law to small claims court over a prank he pulled on me, and now my wife and her family are furious. I need to know if I'm in the wrong here. A few months ago, we were at a family barbecue. I had a few too many beers and fell asleep in a hammock with my shirt off. My BIL, who was completely sober, thought it would be hilarious to fill my belly button with super glue. At some point, I must have touched it, because when I woke up, I had glue partially dried in my belly button and on my finger. We tried to remove it, but it was stuck. The glue had adhered to my skin, and when we attempted to peel it off, it caused some tearing around the edges. Unfortunately, my job's insurance has a $1,000 ER copay, but I had no choice, I had to go to the ER. They used a solvent and an ointment to remove the glue, and after everything, I was left with a medical bill of $2,253. I asked my BIL to cover the cost since he caused the situation. He refused. After trying to resolve it privately, I took him to small claims court, and I won. However, he still hasn't paid. This has caused a major rift in my family. My wife is upset, and her family thinks I overreacted. So, am I the butthole for taking him to court over this? Edit, more info and update. The reason my wife was upset is because her brother was going through a divorce and between jobs. Everyone knew he did it, he even admitted it. He blames his ADHD. I don't want to garnish his pay. The reason I didn't try more to clean the glue off of me was because I have scars in my navel from gallbladder surgery about 3 years ago. My mother-in-law has offered to pay the bill, but she is on a fixed income and I would feel like an ass for taking her money. Of course, I'm the villain and only my sister-in-law is on speaking terms with me. My wife is only barely in my side. It was her that took me to the ER. Not thinking it would cost that much. I figure blood is thicker than water. I didn't expect this thread to blow up. Am I the butthole for refusing to cook in our kitchen because my wife decorated it? My wife and I, 37M, 35F, bought a house together 2 years ago. She had a laundry list of things she absolutely had to have, but I only cared about one thing. I wanted a good kitchen with plenty of room to work. I've been cooking my whole life and I cook all the meals. We found a beautiful house that we both love and everything was fine. She added her flair to most of the rooms. I let her choose the paint and furniture and wall art. We both paid our share on everything and the house is gorgeous. I love it. She has great taste. However, a few months ago she started talking about wanting to do the kitchen. I was open to it. It was now the only room in the house that hadn't gotten personalized and it made it stick out. The problem was that she wanted to put random knickknacks all over the place. Every day she was coming from the store with some new item. Baskets with fake fruit. Big ceramic pots for flour, we don't bake. Book-sized wooden blocks with sweet sayings on them. A wine rack and espresso machine, we don't drink either. Vinaigrette decanters with glittery liquid in it. Decorative plates that sit on the cabinet shelves, in front of the real dishes. It all came to a head when I found that she had put the toaster oven in the under cabinet and moved my big OL chopping block to above the fridge so she can put a full serving tray with 4 cups, saucers, and a kettle set up in the middle of the counter, like we're hosting afternoon tea. We never do that. I told her I was not on board. The kitchen is the perfect size to get cooking done. I use the toaster oven 3 times a day and my butcher's block lives in that spot. It lives there cause I use it all the time. I asked her where there was even space left for me to put down my 20 by 28 butcher's block. She started showing what could be moved over to accommodate the block and I said that I wasn't moving stuff around every single time I want to cut a melon. She kept saying it wasn't a big deal and I'd get used to it, but I stood firm on wanting all this random stuff out of where I essentially work. She started crying and saying stuff like, "You don't get to just decide what's what." We tried talking about it again a few times and it always ends with her crying. I don't yell or anything. She just refuses to accept that I don't want a cute kitchen more than I want a useful one. I haven't cooked a full meal in our kitchen in 2 months. I make a few days worth at a time of rice or potatoes and a tray full of proteins. Bags of salad. Frozen soup. I pack it up in the fridge to eat as needed. She's invited to eat any of it, but she doesn't like leftovers. She recently realizes she's gaining weight, wasting tons of time in drive-through lines and paying lots of money for food she doesn't even enjoy. Last night, we tried once again to talk about the kitchen and it ended with me saying if it's so important then just let me have the kitchen how it needs to be to cook right. She started crying again and accused me of blackmailing her health to win an argument. I gave up after that and we both had to leave for work before we could talk it over. I feel dead set that as the person actually using the kitchen, cooking tools should not have to compete for space with useless shit and I refuse to cook in such a cumbersome way. What do y'all think? Edit, saw a few people asking about my work situation. I work from home. Many days I have to get up before dawn to pick up paperwork at a closed-by job site, but my main job is done at home. Edit 2, apparently people think that cooks a lot means he thinks he's an amazing cook. I never once said I was some great chef. I'm sure I'm average as hell. I do use flour for coating and thickening stuff, but I don't need a whole container's worth on hand at all times. One bag lasts me months and I was always told it's best to leave it in the bag it came in so it sits in the dark pantry. Maybe I'm ignorant, but I can only imagine a baker needs 12 cups of flour ready to go. As far as the toaster oven, I use it to toast rolls, bolillos, and extra crispy tortillas. The regular oven takes too long to preheat for just a stack of tortillas/rolls. I eat them daily. Am I the butthole for having my mother yell at me for having intercourse with my girlfriend in my own apartment when we're both 26 years of age? So, I, 26M, live with my girlfriend, 26F, in an apartment that I pay for. We've been together for 3 years, and our relationship is great. We're both working professionals, fully independent, and, like any normal couple, we even have an active sex life. Enter my mother, 54F. She's always been a little overbearing, but since I moved out when I started dating my GF, I thought things had gotten better. Apparently, I was wrong. Last weekend, my mom came over to drop off some homemade food, which was nice, I'll give her that. I had told her she could stop by after 4 p.m. since my girlfriend and I were having a lazy morning. But, of course, she decided to show up 2 hours early with her spare key, which she has for emergencies. Well, my girlfriend and I were in the bedroom, clearly busy, when we heard my mother banging on the bedroom door. She was shouting my name and saying things like, "I know what you're doing in there," and "have some respect." I scrambled to throw on some clothes, went out, and asked her what the hell she was doing here unannounced. She started yelling at me about how it was disgusting and inappropriate to be doing that while guests are over. I reminded her that, this is my apartment. She wasn't supposed to be here yet. We're 2 consenting adults. She was having none of it. She called me disrespectful, said I had no manners, and even told my girlfriend that she should be ashamed, which, WTF? My girlfriend just walked out of the room, grabbed her keys, and left because she wasn't dealing with that nonsense. I ended up arguing with my mom for 10 more minutes before telling her to leave and return the spare key. She refused at first, but I stood my ground until she finally handed it over. She left in a huff and later texted me saying she was deeply disappointed in how I spoke to her. Now, my dad and sister are both telling me I was too harsh and that I shouldn't have put her in that situation. I argued that she put herself in that situation by showing up unannounced and barging into my home.